different level, this is our last point out of the 10 key points that we had initially pulled out of the first 2 chapters of the Trustworthy book by Goldstone and Wiseman. And this lists 4 challenges to trust administration: the desire to control, ignorance of the family, equating difference with being wrong. So, in other words, you're not like me, so you're not right because I'm right. And 4, equating ending a relationship with resolution. In other words, we can't get along, so I'm not going to talk to you even though we're brothers.
Thank you very much, brother.
Right. I was looking for it.
Is that alignment?
I think that would be that one.
So to equate that, ending that relationship with some kind of resolution, especially in the context of thinking of the family as one unit. And I guess part of the, what if we start with this to say, do you think these are challenges to trust administration, and if so, how? To pick one.
By definition, they have to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
Say
control,
more.
and it's got to be within the context of the family, so you've got to know who you're dealing with. Equating the differences, right versus wrong versus, maybe there isn't a right and wrong. It's what fits we had before. And I'm not so sure about how that, the last point as far as what you're trying to do is come to a resolution and still maintain a relationship.
Right. And sometimes that's hard.
A lot of times.
Because if we're talking about a family member trustee, it's different than talking about an independent third-party trustee or an institution trustee.
Yes, sir.
And this would be a challenge, especially unless the family's really close, unless they all get along really well. I think it would be a challenge for any one member of the family to try to control 3 other siblings or 4 other siblings and be fair and equitable. Because things are going to happen. It's going to change the way they interact. The dynamic's going to change. So it's something that being in that trustee role has to be explained well enough to the person who's in that capacity to say, you know what, this isn't going to be easy, and you're going to need counsel, whether it's the trusted advisor, the CPA, the lawyer, whatever it is.
And I agree with you. And what about ending a relationship between the 2 non-trustees? So in other words, the other siblings to say, okay, well, she's the trustee, but again, you and I don't get along, so.
That happens a lot too. And sometimes there is no resolution. Sometimes they agree to disagree, and that's the end of it. So how do you deal with that? That's the bigger question I have, is how do you deal with that situation if your goal is to try to keep the family together and the family's going to be apart anyway?
I think a lot can be created in the space of creating the context, the original conversation, and having knowledge. This goes to ignorance of the family. Have knowledge of what the family's values are and what they really want to create, having this trusting space in their own space. And
Getting them clear on it.
Having them clear about what they want. Who are they for each other? What do they value about each other? Having a conversation they've never had that could make a difference up front, so that when it comes to differences being at the table, differences of opinion among family members, that those differences aren't seen as that person being wrong. Well, you're always the person who disagrees. That type of thing. Having those conversations go towards, well, what is your difference of view supporting? What value is it supporting? Are our values really the same, or are they really different? It's easy to point where family members could have differences and have really the same values underlying that, and not getting that they could align because they have the same values, even though they may have a difference of opinion. It could be just a financial difference of opinion.
But each of the trustees that have a different, and each of the beneficiaries that have a different viewpoint are going to make sure that they talk to the trustee and try to make their viewpoint clear and therefore it's up to the trustee to be able to maintain that communication as difficult as it is, even though half the people are gonna agree and half aren't gonna agree.
Goes back to the trustee as part of the triangled system,
Yes.
to be the linchpin.
Well, I think the key there is just communication all the way around. If the trustee is telling all members of that trust exactly what the game plan is and what is going on, and just being honest and saying, okay, this is the way it's written, this is what's supposed to be done, agree, disagree, try to come to some kind of compromise, but it is about communication. It's letting all members know. You know, because when you start playing hide and sneak, I mean, this is where you have issues, or at least what you perceive may be hide and sneak, but it's purely lack of communication is what's going on.
That's almost a fifth
Yeah.
issue. I don't know, or
Should we add
possibly,
another bullet? Should we add
yeah.
another bullet point?
I would
Sure.
I would offer to add that to the list, to say inadequate communication is
Yes.
another challenge. Nicely done, Serene.
Yeah.
Worthy of another point. We can offer that to the office.
Mhm.
And maybe that's a good point to close item number 10 in our discussion here.